Hello, Fahad. It is great to see you. As you said previously, speed, right? When did you fill out the form? How long ago was it?
It was I filled it out like a couple of hours ago, man. Honestly, it was just a
Oh,
few
wait, it was a
hours
few
ago.
hours ago? I guess as soon as I
Yeah,
woke up, I was looking at my phone. I probably saw it come through and they rescheduled for a few hours
yeah.
later.
You even scheduled the call right after. I was like, damn, this guy's fast, man. Yeah,
All right,
love
easy.
that.
Could you give an introduction about yourself?
Yeah. So my name is Fahd. I'm a member of the Real World. I joined a few months back, and so I'm 24 years old. I'm from Pakistan, right? And I always wanted to aspire to become a psychologist, and that's what I ended up becoming. But at the same time, I've always been someone who's been very ambitious about making money, and like just taking it more than that. And I found the real world, and here we are today, man.
Okay. And how did the real world aid you in becoming a. Did you say psychiatrist or psychologist? Psychiatrist, right?
Psychologist,
Oh, it's
psychologist.
psychologist. What's the difference, by the way? I always get confused.
So the a psychiatrist is someone who's allowed to give you prescribe you medication,
Meditation? Yeah.
right? Whereas a psychologist, you can prescribe medication, but like there's no difference. You have to like for a psychiatrist, you have to go to med school. For a
Mhm.
psychologist, you don't have to go to med school.
Okay, I see. And did the reward help you with becoming a psychologist?
That's the crazy part, man. So, like for this, I need to like explain this a bit.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah. Please do.
I've always wanted to become a psychologist, right? Ever since like I was young, I realized that I had this gift of being able to understand people, look at them and understand their situation and stuff. And it was very clear to me that I wanted to become a psychologist, but there was always this one thing at the end, which was the fact that, all right, I'll become a psychologist, right? But there's still a long way to go after that. I have to do my master's. I have to do PhD before even people consider me for therapy, right? Because other than that, like, there's other people who are PhDs and stuff and they get to earn a lot and stuff. And this was always that one thing that was nagging me. And yeah, so fast forward, I'm in university the last year, and dates starts popping up everywhere, with the real world hustlers university and stuff like that. And I remember some friends of mine introduced me to date, and they were like, yo, look at this, man, there's this hustlers university and stuff. And I was like, yeah, okay, tell me about hustlers university. They were like, yo, basically you share stuff on TikTok and stuff, and they give you these campuses and stuff. But I wouldn't recommend joining it because it's a Ponzi scheme, right? I was like, a Ponzi scheme? What the fuck is a Ponzi scheme? He's like, oh, he didn't know jack shit what he was talking about. And at that point, even I didn't know what a Ponzi scheme was. It was like, so basically, it goes like this: you join the thing, right? And everyone like you start making money and stuff. But if you're the one who's at the bottom, right? You have no security because everyone at the top makes money. But if you happen to be the guy at the bottom, like you lose everything. And then they're like, it's a scam basically. I was like, fuck, right? And ever since then, like anything related to the Hustlers University or Real World came up, I was like, yeah, Ponzi scheme, bro. Fuck no, man. You know? So fast forward, I start seeing these clips and stuff. And for once, I start paying attention to all of the stuff that I'm seeing, right? And it was about these guys that were like I joined the real world. I'm 17 years old, 15 years old, 33 years old, and I made 60K, 70K, 80K dollars. And I was like, those numbers were insane to me, right? And I did mention I've always been the sort of person who was very ambitious in terms of making money, right? That's always been at the back of my mind. So fast forward, I get intrigued. I start seeing these interviews and stuff, right? This is what I start scrolling about and stuff, and I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna give this a shot. I look at it. I'm like, the real world had this thing going on where essentially it was $125, but for that month it was $50 first month, right? And like $50 onwards, you could secure that price. So I was like, okay, I have $50 lying around. Let's do this. So fast forward, at this point, I've finished my education. I've become a psychologist, right? And I joined the real world. And the moment I go in, there's a lot going on, right? There's all of these, like it's a very happening place. There's these courses, there's these chat rooms and stuff, and I'm like, what the fuck is this going on? This is really overwhelming for me. And right when I start to think that, there's this pop up on the screen which says like start here. I'm like, okay, start here. I click on it. It's like, okay, this is the real world. Blah blah blah. This is this. This is the campus. These are the chat rooms. This is the win section. I was like, wait a minute, win section. Yeah. So I go to the win section. I open freelancing campus. I go to the wins part, and I start seeing these numbers, right? The ones that I was seeing on these interviews, like a guy like I just made 10K with a client, 10K retainer, 20K, and these numbers were, bro, Rokas, these numbers were sort of like they were mind blowing to me because I come from a place, I come from Pakistan, right? And 20K dollars, you have no idea how much that amounts to, right? So I was like, this is insane, right? Anyway, I go to the freelancing section and I start, looking at what this guy is saying. So Professor Dylan Maddens, if anyone doesn't know. And for the first time in my life, I was like, this guy, man, like he has this take on things which is so fucking different. I mean, I've never heard someone say to me that, look, you have all these skills and stuff, right? But you don't have to wait to like get accredited, or you don't have to get to a certain point, like, get a PhD or whatever to start making good money. I'm like, hold up, bro, but I'm a psychologist. And the more that I start seeing that, the more I start going through those courses, right? I'm like, this guy makes so much sense because all this while I wanted to become a psychologist, I did become a psychologist. Got everything done, got everything in place. I can call myself a psychologist, but at the same time, like, there's this thing nagging me that now I have to go to the next mile to make a shit ton of money, and there's this stress. And this guy is like, he just has this perception on things that now you're in a time where you can make money and you don't have to follow the matrix, as you would call it, right? You don't have to follow those routes. And fast forward, I start implementing these things. I start reaching out to people from different parts of the world. I start marketing myself, all these ways that the strategy that he shows you, right? And next thing you know, within I think just a month, I got one client, right? It was some guy from China, and he was at that moment, he became a patient and stuff, and I get money in, right? And instantly it's like $90, right? I had a 2 hour session with him, $90, bro. And that was the moment where like everything flipped for me because I was like, $90, like that's approximately 75% of what people in my country work their butts off for, right? They work like extremely hard, and respect to them, right? But the strategy that they're following, go to a job 8 hours, wake up, and all of that stuff, right? Get ridiculed by their boss, stress, not being able to give other things time in their life, and all of that. And they make about like 30K Pakistani rupees, right? And here I am just with 1 or 2 hours of like my session with this person. I procured like what, like 22,000 rupees, like 8,000 shy of 30,000. It was like mind blowing, right? These numbers. Anyway, so I was like, this stuff obviously works. And next thing you know, I start getting more clients, and right now I'm at a point where I've had a bunch of clients here now, but the ones that have stuck with me, the ones that are permanent, and keep seeing on a retainer basis, on a daily basis, are four clients from different parts of the world. There's two people from the UK, there's one person from Czech Republic at the moment, and there's another person who is from the United States.
Hmm.
So it's insane, man. Yeah.
Let me see. A few angles I could take here. I think first, let's go with those four people you have. I guess you can call it a monthly retainer then, right?
I wouldn't call them. I mean, it's like I see them every week, right?
Hmm.
You could say it like that,
Okay.
yeah.
So, what do you average monthly from your psychology job?
So here's the thing, right? Let me start off with, so see, people have a comparison, right? So in my part of the country, my part of the world, people, if you're a psychologist, right, at the level that I'm in, even if you're like a PhD, right? Let's say you're a PhD, you could expect about, as an average person, to make 6,000 Pakistani rupees per like an hour's worth of session, right? I make about, for an hour's worth of session, I make about 20,000 rupees. So that's like 12, 14,000 rupees more than what these guys are making. Just because I have that whole strategy where like Dylan Madden sort of like, changed the whole perception for me, where I can reach different people from across the world. So I make about, right now, on just by these four clients, I make anywhere between $600 to $800 every month.
Hmm. And then you
Yeah.
said there was an additional source of income as well, right? What was that about?
Yeah, so that's a long story. You want me to go like short into it or long into it?
Long story. Go.
Long
You speak
story.
very
All
well,
right.
so it's very informational.
Appreciate that. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. So, all right. So I'm done with the freelancing thing, right? The freelancing, I'm sort of squeezing the juice out of it. I'm still doing that, right? I'm applying those things. And on the same end, I have my own YouTube channel going where it's a personal brand, it's motivational speaking and everything's related to psychology stuff. It's more of a one-on-one thing where I talk to people, that the audience, in front of a camera and stuff. So I was like, okay, I've dove into content creation far before the real world, not that far, but a few months back. And let's see what else the real world has to offer. So I was still dabbling with freelancing when the content creation sort of campus came out, right? And it was the first campus ever, man. And at the moment it came out, I was like, okay, time to get into this now. So I get in, and this is one of the things, by the way, that people always talk about, how the real world has this network of like individuals who are the same level that you are, above than you, and like, you chat rooms and they help you and stuff. I think the core part where what people miss out on, and what gives me personally the most value, that I think is like what really sets it apart, and is the fact that you have direct contact with the professors. Rokas, like, you can talk to the professors, you can ask them directly, you can get in touch with them directly. So with that, I was the moment the content creation campus opened, the professor, since it was a new campus, the professor had these Zoom calls, like, after every 3 4 days, and you could hop in that Zoom call, unmute your mic, and talk to this guy, a guy that is otherwise unaccessible to like 95 99% of the people out there, right?
Mhm.
But with me, because I'm in the real world, I can talk to this guy who's my now mentor, who is someone that just excels at everything I want to do. And I'm talking to this guy one on one. I'm talking to this guy like with my own words, not behind like a chat keyboard and stuff. That too, but there's this personal connection that I have with him. And that's the thing. Right now, I go by by an alias in the real world, right? Warbread. And the professor knows me as Warbread, right? Professor Dylan Madden, Professor the Pope, who's the content creation professor, they know me as Warbread. So I've built like an affiliation with them. And look at you and me right now, right? So we got to a point where now you know me to an extent, right? So it's like people like you, or people that are like on higher ends of this whole game, like you have instant access to them, right? So I get into the long story short, I get into the content creation campus. I start implementing the tools and stuff. And at that moment, AI had not really come out. It was just like coming out, but like ChatGPT was there. Though none of this like picture to image, sorry, words to image generation and all this video generations and stuff. So I'm perfecting my CC plus AI skills. I'm like implementing that into my Fahd Ke YouTube channel, right? I'm doing all of that in my personal brand, and then the AI thing kicks in, and there's this hype around the end. I remember like watching Date's content. One of the things he was saying was that now AI is here, right? For all those people who are like, who wanted to jump on the Bitcoin wagon. This is the new Bitcoin. This is that thing where if you get in early, if you have like expertise, if you know your shit, if you're before everyone else in this game, like you can really like make the most out of it. And that was ingrained into my mind. And the AI thing came out, and top notch content, man. Like top notch content, everything. Like there were different sort of ways, different sources that you could use to generate AI. Like so you could pick whatever you wanted. All of that was in the content creation campus. So from that point in, I learned everything about AI and stuff, and I see this niche, right? So because I went to Turkey for my education, and so I became friends with this with a Turkish guy who was a really good friend of mine, and I see this niche in Turkey where no one has really tapped into AI. I mean, the people that have, they're doing a shit job, right? So I'm like, okay, what can we do here? And what we end up doing is we start implementing all the techniques that are taught in the AI and CC campus, right? And we start bringing it into Turkey. So we created a YouTube channel which basically tells history, right? By generating all these AI images, right? My partner does the narration. I generate all the pictures, and we make short, engaging, high quality entertainment content. And like it's top notch content, right? Thanks to everything that I've learned. And I started doing that, and while I start doing that, I'm working hard. I'm like, I'm really in the flow, right? I'm like, okay, what more can I implement AI with? And I see these other things, these other platforms, these other sort of sources that are there in the CC plus AI campus. Okay, this is a website that you can use. This you can use this for voice. You can use this for like to generate like a person and like a clone of him and stuff. And I'm like, okay, you know what? So I brainstorm. I look at that, and I'm like, how can I use this? And we come up with a strategy. Me and my partner, we're like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna not gonna exactly reveal the strategy, but we'll use one
Of
of
course,
those
no
AIs
problem.
and strategically. and strategically use one of those AI and strategically form a plan on how to cater a specific person in Turkey. And bro, it's insane that the moment we start doing that, we do such a good job at it that instantly we get a DM from the guy. And he's like, yo, I really like what we're doing. The same guy that we have strategized for, right? It's like, hey guys, I love what you're doing. Would you want to work with my team? And I remember my partner saying this to me right when we began. It was like a week ago. He was like, bro, in the future, I see him contacting us. I'm like, yeah, bro. But none of us, I remember him telling me that the morning he woke up and he got the DM because he handles all the socials and stuff. He said it was like I was dreaming because this was within a week, this guy contacts us, right? So we contact him, we lock a deal with him. And last month, this is just like a month ago, right? Because CC and the AI aspect of the CC campus is relatively new and like still top notch though. So he contacts us, and now I have him like every month he pays 1,500 euros to us, right? And in that we generate all the AI, everything that he wants. And this is another thing that I want to touch upon. What when he was offering us, he was like, okay, you guys are gonna be our plug for AI, but there's this is not just one thing that we want you to do. We want you to do other things as well. And at that moment, instantly, without thinking, I was like, yeah, let's lock it in, because I was so confident that if there's anything I need related to AI, anything, it's available here in the real world campus. It's available.
Mhm.
I can just email the professor. I can email one of the not email, but sorry, message one of the professors, message one of the captains and stuff, and I'll have access to everything that I need.
Mhm.
And I was that too, like before than anyone else, because anything, all the updates that you get in the AI world, you get them in the campus first, and that's like it's insane.
Right.
So yeah, so I'm making, if you were to ask me how much I'm making right now, it's well over 2k a month, definitely easy.
And just for context, how much is
Mhm.
average monthly wage in Pakistan?
Oh man, I'm at 30,000 rupees. That's like, bro, that's, I think, $200.
Wow. So you are
Yeah.
10x the average monthly wage.
10x, 10x, and this is, bro, the numbers. If you were to, of course, you probably have an idea, but the numbers I've seen in the real world, they're insane, bro. There's
Mhm.
this is 2k plus. The numbers on there are like 60k, 70k, and there's a step by step plan on how to go about that, man. It's incredible.
Right.
But yeah, you can see I'm psyched up.
What about lifestyle then? Have there been any changes considering
Oh
the
yeah,
increase in income?
yeah. There's definitely been changes. There's one thing that I want to really mention here, Rokas. Right? Just like
Mhm.
shift gears just a bit. You know, about the whole thing, there's this idea that, you know and I was brought up with this because, like, again, I'm a Pakistani and I grew up in Southeast Asia, right? And this part of the culture is the sort where you're trying to really latch onto your money, right? You want to latch onto your money and you want to get the most out of, like, the deals that you get. You want to get the most out of everything that you do with the minimum amount of money that you can spend. And I think that is something that really gets you at the bottom, especially in these days that we're living in. And I want to come back to the point of, like, the whole part where the real world has a subscription and you pay $50 for it and stuff. You can improvise with that stuff. Like I said, I have a partner who's like, we're both in this together. I started off the campus, I introduced him to the campus, right? And now he's also, we both pay for the campus, right? Sometimes now we don't have to, like, change and stuff. At first, like, if I did not have the money for it, he would pay for it. So because we both understood the value. And this is another thing that I've learned, man. This is, when I started my psychology journey, to promote myself or to market myself, one of the things I started doing, Rokus, was that I started telling people that, okay, I'll work for you free. I won't charge you a penny, right? But you can, like, we can hop on sessions for 1 month of my service. No problem at all. I won't charge you. And the funny thing is, like, 15, 20 people instantly would, like, yeah, they would cash onto it. They were like, yeah, okay. I would get all these people applying and stuff. And none of them showed up. None of them showed up. If only one or two-person would show up, right? They would, like, after, like, by the time of the meeting, they would like, they wouldn't be there. They make excuses and stuff, or sometimes they just even seen you. And that's what I realized. When you offer something for free, there's no value attached to it. There's no commitment attached to it. Money, paying for something, is a form of commitment. Paying for something is, okay, I've paid for this, now I need to get the most out of it. If you haven't paid for anything, you can't get anything out of it, right? And yeah, it was mind blowing. The moment I started asking, I was like, okay, you know what? No free stuff. I charge $80 a session. Right, this is what I charge at the moment, but I'm going to increase it with time.
Hmm.
But the moment I said $80 a session, I had all these people coming in, and then now they're coming in regularly and stuff. So this whole free idea is that it's just it's absurd to me, and I'm glad that I sort of stepped out of this mindset, because I was brought up in this family as well. I was brought up in this culture as well, and even right now, if I don't tell people, what I pay for and stuff, because everyone's like, no, isn't that a bit too much? I remember I sort of introduced someone to the idea of real, where they were like, I want to make money and this and that. I was like, hey, I'm making money. Everything I told you, I was like, I am doing this. And they were like, okay, you know what? Can I get like a taste of this? Can I see? I was like, okay, come on in. Like I showed him the campus talks, business mastery, everything, right? And by the end of it, this fucker asked me, he's like, yeah, how much do you pay for that? I'm like, $50. Like, isn't that too much? And I was like, bro, there's nothing I can do with you, man. I'm sorry. Like, you want to I just told you how much I'm making, and you want to compare that to $50. It's absurd to me how people think.
Hmm. And it's as you say, if it was given away for free, then it,
No value.
people wouldn't have as much commitment to it. They wouldn't see it as valuable. But even now, this is the probably the lowest they can charge while basically being free still. Like at
Bro.
least some kind of
It's a
commitment. It's
steal.
like it's still their philosophy is clearly under charge and over deliver. Like that's very clear at this point. So
It's
is there
clear
any
to
more
me.
to add for your thoughts on why they charge $50? Why you think for all that
Why
value?
why the, I think they charge $50 to sort of to like make you commit to it, to like at least make you understand that this isn't a bullshit service. This isn't a bullshit course. This isn't like any of that stuff that you get away for. You can just, like there's actual value in there, and the fact that they're charging $50 for this, it's insane to me, bro. And for people that are worried about the $50, or like, just do it, bro. Like, it's not about the $50. Let me tell you something. If you're someone who's considering use like $50, but they wouldn't be charging for it and stuff, and I want you to drop all of that idea. If you have $50, I want you to, for once in your life, commit to something and be like, you know what, I have these $50. If I lose them, fine. If I lose them, it's $50. You think latching on to your money, like, and holding it, right, is gonna bring you any value? It's gonna allow you to, like, sort of break free from everything that's going on in your life? Never. you know it's you can't latch onto your money. And, like, the thing about money is money comes and goes, right? We're taught to be like this strategic, and this have this miser mentality with money, but that's going to keep you at the far lowest ends. The reason that I excel at the AI in Turkey, and none of these other people, like, that, they're doing such a terrible job at it, because they're using these free programs. They're using programs that are otherwise free. I'm using a paid service. I'm investing, and look where that's gotten me.
Mhm.
Anything that you want to get value out of, you need to give value first. You need to sort of pay for it. There's no such thing as free lunch, and even if there is, it's going to be a shitty lunch, bro.
Okay, I like the answer. And now, more personally, how has your average day changed since you've joined the real world? I'm guessing there should be some kind of change there, right?
Yeah, Rokas, this is one of the things, man. Growing up, I always I was always that guy that sort of convinced himself that, yeah, I was too good for sort of the whole idea of, like, working hard and stuff. And, like, I had my own way of doing it. Like, I was always the sort of person who sort of got his way with things, and I still am, and I'm really proud of that, right? But somewhere along those lines, the moment that I grew older, like, the scope, because at the end of the day it was scope, right? The scope started getting to me. I was like, you know what, I'm not happy with the fact that I'm this guy. I want to be someone who's a workaholic. I want to be that guy. I want to be someone who sits down, who's obsessed with working, who wants to, like, that lifestyle started attracting me. And here's the funny thing, right? I don't believe in this astrology shit, but anytime I told someone I'm a Capricorn, they'd be like, yeah, Capricorns are hard workers, bro. Capricorns are intelligent. I'd be like, yeah, I'm fucking intelligent. They're hardworking in my own way. Yeah, I'm hardworking, right? But the thing is, they used to say that stuff, but I was like, yeah, whatever. But I don't know if it's astrology or whatever, but I sort of, I'm a workaholic, man. And I only realized this by implementing all of this, by putting myself into this, in these situations where I had to work, not just like fucking dicking around. The actual pressure environments, actual environments where I have to deliver, where I have a deadline, where I have the script, where I have to, like, do the production and everything. That's when I realized I'm a workaholic. There's nothing in life that excites me more right now than working on my grind. And I was looking at my screen time the other day, and I don't know, whoever wants to say it's unhealthy or whatever, they can like screw themselves. I'm an adult. I'm in charge of my own life. Fuck off. So it was 13 hours regularly. 13 hours every day. This is why I got these glasses and stuff, to avoid the blue ray stuff, the blue light or whatever. And it's gotten me to the point that I am right now. I think I'm gonna be one of the largest channels on in Turkey as far as AI is concerned. Anything I touch becomes gold. I've sort of manifested myself to become that person. I'm a hard worker. I'm built for this shit, and I love this shit.
Mhm. It definitely unlocks something within you. I don't know if it's the
It
real
does.
world specifically, or Andrew Tate, or combination of both, or whatever other factors it is. But it was same with me. For a while, I used to be more lazy, maybe kind of thinking, how can I make passive income, that kind of
Exactly.
thing. But yeah, now I'm purposely set myself to do 3 interviews a day this month, just for the challenge, just go into war mode, because I know how much I'll develop as a person through it, just for
And
having
you
to
love it, right?
grind and push through and do it. And it's just, yeah, I want that challenge. I wanted to do it. So yeah, it's
I want to touch up on
very different.
on
Yeah.
that thing. It was this famous psychologist. I won't name him because, again, like, he's controversial. But then again, there's this one thing that he said which really stuck with me, man. And everything I said sort of comes back down to it. He said this is one of the things I realized later on in my life. He said I was about 40 when I realized this, that there is so much genetic potential locked in your genetic code. There's so much potential that's locked within your genetic code that is not going to come out until and unless you put yourself into certain situations. And it's the waste of life if you don't ever get to experience that sort of potential that you have. And it's so fucking true, man. Like,
Mhm.
I don't, like you said, I don't know if it's Andrew Tate, if it's the real word or whatever, but I, like, it was that environment for me where I was able to unlock this genetic code. Because I've had extreme hard work, because I still do in my family. People that are dedicated, hardworking, and I was like, again, I said that I was always thinking at this, like, just a year ago, I was like, I want to become a hard worker. I want to become that guy, and it just wasn't unlocked, and now it is, and I
Mhm.
feel like more powerful than ever, bro. I
Right,
love this shit.
right. And I'm sure there's so much more potential within you as well to grow, and you know that, and that's why you
I love
continue
it.
to evolve and strive towards it.
Yes, sir.
Cool. Yeah, definitely same with me. It, it's interesting because I do these interviews to get other people's success stories and then get their evolutions. I ended up doing follow interviews with people. Uh, Now I'm on the third iteration of interviews for quite a few people now. And technically, yes, it's tracking their progress, but I've realized, I think yesterday, I mean, it's also tracking my progress because there's such a difference between myself from when I began these back in towards the end of December. And yeah, in a way, you could see that
Imagine.
change, just how much I'm evolving as a person. And it's even hard for me to look at my old self because I just cringe. I can't. But that's how you know you're growing
That's
when you
life.
can't look at
That's
your
life.
old self like that. So
Right.
it's a beautiful thing. And again, I'm very happy with my progress, and I know there's still so much more for me to grow into. And it's because of this environment, being around the right people who are also hard workers. I see in front of me what I want to become in a way, or not exactly like them, but take their positive attributes, absorb
Yeah.
maybe the mannerisms and other things just from those people who I hang around with. So environment is huge, and I guess other factors as well. And how's your environment actually? I started rambling for a bit. Have you changed your environment
Bro,
since
first
joining the
first
real
things
world?
first, man. Like, I see you. Like, I've seen your interviews and stuff. And again, like I said, I manifested this. I knew I would be
Hmm.
sitting here one day, right? And, like, even my first impression of you was I messaged you, right? I filled in the application, bro. Within 5 minutes, you DM'd me and you were like, yeah, yeah, I like your stuff. When are you available? What's your time zone? I was like, yo, listen. What do you mean, man? Like, isn't this supposed to be like a process or whatever? And then I'm like, okay, I take my time. I'm like, okay, like let me get all the like screenshots, what I would want and stuff
Mhm.
to show and this and that. And I sent that and I sleep and I woke up with your message and you're like, you booked in a schedule. I'm like, this guy, bro, this is like he's a you're a professional, man. And I love people like that. I love working with people like that because it's just like you guys like act on a different level. There's this sort of this trust and this sort of like you can really count on people like you, and I love that you're crushing it, bro.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Let's see.
My
What else do we
environment,
have? Pardon?
my environment. You said my environment. What do you mean by that? When you said like you wanted to know about my environment,
Your what? Sorry, I couldn't hear.
when you wanted to know about my environment, what
Right,
did
right.
you?
So, have
Yeah.
you changed your environment since joining? Because I'm sure you understand as well just how important it is, the people around you, how much they influence you, the content you
Oh
consume,
yeah. Oh
everything.
yeah.
So, how has
Oh
that
yeah.
changed for you?
Well, the biggest change is that I'm locked in my room and I'm like on my hustle. And again, like for the people who are like, I still get people who are like, yo, but you're gonna burn out. Yo, Fahad, like you can't go like this and stuff. The thing is, bro, the times that we're in, again, there's no such thing as free lunch. The second thing is, like I said, I started my YouTube channel, right? And all with all of this idea, I always thought that like YouTube was this one hit wonder and stuff, and like you could get lucky with stuff like that. There's no such thing as that, bro. Especially in the times that we're living in, there's a whole system to things, and like like Tate says that there's killers out there, and if you're not going to compete with them, they're always going to crush you, right? So you sort of have to change your environment or change yourself as a person to a certain extent if you want to make things happen. And my biggest shift in environment was me not caring about like going out to the social events and like fucking being a jackass, right? Just being on my grind. And there's one thing that I've always had that I'm really proud of is since a young age I've always sort of distanced myself from negativity. I've distanced myself from people that are, like I said, I've always been good at understanding people. I can see through people. And the moment I detected a negativity, the moment I read people to be a certain way, to not be on the level that I'm at mentally, positively, I sort of distanced myself. So I've always had like a real close circle of uplifters, and I still have that. And this is one thing that I want to keep on taking forward with me as I progress,
Mhm.
not only in just the real world, but in life in general, through the real world, of course.
Beautiful.
And
Okay. What would you say was the biggest challenge you faced when you were implementing lessons from the real world?
that's a good one. I haven't really thought about that one, man. I think it was to be honest, it was action, because there's so much information out there, and this is the thing with life, right? You get access to information. There's information lying around, and you take it for granted, right? And I'm because I had paid, there was still that something within me that got me to like take action because look, money is being spent. I need to make the most out of. So I did like sort of at the end of the day did give more effort than I would have if anything was free. But then again, with all this information, such high valuable information, the challenge was like actually sticking with something, right? And in a way, it's good that I didn't stick with something, because stick with, like, for example, just one thing that I follow, because like I said, I did the freelancing, but I'm glad I hopped on to content creation, because that's where I found my true potential, right? So that's the thing, man. I think the biggest challenge was changing myself as a person. In simple words, it's just changing myself to, like, that transition from that coping mechanism that, yeah, you want to be a workaholic, but you're not really that, bro, to actually being like, this is who I am, man. This is who I am, and I love it. that
Mhm.
that sort of change was everything.
Okay.
That was the challenge.
Okay. I really like that. And what about the material within the real world and the learning resources that you get? How different is it from what you could have found out on the
Oh,
internet?
man. Bro, like whenever you ask me these questions, it's like I scoff just a bit, because it takes me back to those moments where how everyone has just said to me, like, but you can find this information free. Well, motherfucker, go find it. The thing with finding information free is like, with the real world, what it does is it's like I said, there was that pop-up start here, right? It was like with the basics. Okay, this, and in this process, if you have any questions, ask us. But it's like all the resources that you would otherwise look for or waste your fucking time on, searching through different corners of internet. I like this speaker better, I like this better. You know what, I couldn't find this here, but I had to go on that website to extract this information. All of that is within this one portal, and it's fucking different than everything that you're going to find. It's long hours of content. It's sort of, what I mean by long is it's a lot of content, right? It's in-depth details on everything that you want to learn. And if there's again, man, like, people don't realize the value in the fact that you are directly in contact with the professor, and that's just crazy, bro. If you want to, like, all of us intrinsically know to a certain extent that networking is everything, right? You're now in a place where you can network directly with the professor. You do a good enough job, they promote you in the real world. You do a good enough job, you can end up working with the people up there on the, like, perhaps even Tate's team, right? That's the beauty about the real world. So you're not just, they pick you up from they build you from scratch, and if you perform, if you're not going to be a jackass, if you're going to be someone who's going to dedicate himself, who's serious about his life, then, and if you play things strategically, if you have a vision, if you have a goal, you're going to get yourself to absolutely the top.
So, since you're on this trajectory now, where do you see your life heading in the short term, medium term, and long term?
Well, I'm definitely locked in on the content creation bit, right? So one thing is that I do want to end up, like, again, I am a psychologist, but I want to keep going on with this. I see myself at the end of the day, because psychology is just something that is deeply I resonate with, right? So I want to keep seeing people and stuff, regardless of how much money I make, whatever I do. But in terms of the trajectory, bro, like, with the stuff that I've picked up, especially in the Turkey, the market gap that I've seen, and my partner who's an absolute beast, man. With the thing that we have going on, I think we're going to be dominating Turkey in terms of AI, artificial intelligence, definitely dominating it.
Hmm. Perfect. Love to hear that. And we can do a follow up in 3 months. And usually I say
Oh,
maybe 3 to 4 months, but no, we'll do it in 3 months because I like your dedication, mindset,
love
your
it, man.
vision.
Appreciate it.
I'm sure you'll have a lot of progress in those 3 months, and we can go in depth into other things as well. So I'm looking forward to that. And now to wrap up, for people who are unsure about joining the real world because maybe they think it could be a scam for the $50, what advice would you have to them?
The advice is that there's no such thing as free lunch. There's, if you're trying to look for, if you're trying to evolve, man, in any area of life, if you're trying to evolve, you need to sort of give something that's a security for your commitment, and that's in the form of a payment in most cases in the current times that we're living in, right? And $50 is measly. If you have $50 lying around, I think that this is the best investment you can make if you're serious about yourself. If you're not serious, then don't bother, man. If you're like, okay, you know what, I'm curious, I'm a bit intrigued, let me see what this is all about, that I think is the best investment you can make. And that's about it, man. That holding on to $50 is the stupidest thing you can do, because how long are you going to hold on to it, right? How long are you going to do that?
Hmm. Okay, very well put. And for people who want to find out more about you or contact you, where can they do so?
Well, you can, first of all, you can support me. You can go over to my, if you want to see, because I'm on a high trajectory right now. If you want to witness it firsthand, you can find me at tarihyapayzeka. That's all our socials on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube.
Yep.
And yeah, I also have a YouTube channel called Fahd K, Fahdk, where that's my personal brand. I've put that on pause for a bit, but if you want to reach out, you can find links and stuff, and we can get in contact.
I will add all of those to the description of the video. And yeah, Fahad, as I said, it was great to meet you. We'll keep in touch,
Great
do
to meet
another
you.
interview in
Likewise,
three
brother.
months. Looking forward to that. And until then, I wish you all the best.
Thank you, buddy. Have a nice one.